Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today we are reacting to the San Francisco 49ers finally giving Deommodore Lenoir a massive contract extension and why a move like this keeps their Super Bowl window open in the next few years. A lot of talk of last dance. I believe this move, while great in itself, allows San Francisco to move into the future and still be a viable contender for a Super Bowl in the future. I want to ask you to like, share, subscribe, and leave a review on the audio podcasting platforms, and let's react to the San Francisco 49ers giving Deommodore Lenoir a massive 5-year, $92 million contract extension. It was via Tom Pelissero and Jordan Schultz. They had it first, and I love this move. It is the perfect move for the San Francisco 49ers. There was so much talk in the offseason of when was this deal going to get done. They came to the table during the offseason. Things didn't seem to get finalized. Lenoir even said, I'll worry about that later. Well, later meant in between Week 10 and Week 11 of the 2024 NFL season. And what a perfect time for this deal to come, because the Niners find themselves in second place in the NFC West, above 500. And while the year is trending upwards, at least now, there doesn't seem to be this kind of doom and gloom feeling over this year, dating back to the offseason, losing the Super Bowl, paying Brandon Aiyuk, and he got hurt. Now you pay Lenoir, and it feels like, okay, everything's going to be fine, we're going to be okay. And this deal, I think, signifies a new movement for the San Francisco 49ers that maybe they've learned from that Brandon Aiyuk deal. Obviously, it takes two to tango, and Lenoir wasn't willing to tango too much during the offseason, but they avoided the entire free agency period and said, you know what, he'll be a free agent at the end of the season. Let's not waste our time. We want him to stay in San Francisco in the red and gold. Let's get that deal done. That's exactly what they do. Lenoir's going to get $18.4 million per year. That's the average money he'll get over the course of the next 5 seasons. That is 12th amongst cornerbacks. If I had to ask you, do you know 12 cornerbacks better than Lenoir? Maybe you can name 4 or 5, but that's where things start to get hairy, and you start to kind of pick and choose your favorites and which not. But Lenoir gives them exactly what they need, a lockdown, shutdown cornerback, which, funny enough, this to me signifies I guess you can say, the last dance for Charvarius Mooney-Ward with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, when the Niners signed Mooney-Ward a couple years ago, he only got $13.5 million per year. Obviously, Lenoir is younger. He was already in-house while Ward was in Kansas City. Then he signed via free agency. They play different roles, obviously, but getting almost $5 million more per year, to me, that shows San Francisco values a player like Lenoir for obvious reasons, like I already stated, the age factor, but also being able to play the inside, the outside, and when Mooney-Ward's going to be a free agent this year, San Francisco can walk into next year with 2 cornerback positions already solidified, but with youthful movement at those positions. Looking at San Francisco's defense, so young right now for a variety of reasons, some of those injuries and whatnot, but when you look at what they did against the Buccaneers, who started? It was a 22-year-old safety, Malik Mustafa, a 24-year-old safety in Jair Brown. It was a 24-year-old cornerback in Renardo Green, 25-year-old cornerback in Deommodore Lenoir, a 28-year-old free agent cornerback in Isaac Yiadom. Youthful movement in the secondary. San Francisco is transitioning from veterans here or there, or a one vet, then a bunch of youth, or 2 vets and 1 youth. No, this is a bunch of youthful players back there that are explosive. They're locked down. And you can tell by the money San Francisco gave Lenoir, they respect him a hell of a lot more than arguably Mooney-Ward when they signed him a couple years ago. And that's no disrespect that's just credit to how great Deommodore Lenoir has been for them. He went from literally almost getting cut his rookie season for posting practice videos on social media. He got benched his rookie season after the Packers game. Aaron Rodgers diced him up. He got benched. And through that time, he's been working in the shadows, in the sidelines, behind the scenes, to where 2 years ago, he kind of gets jettisoned into a starting job and never looks back. He has gotten better each and every season. Again, almost getting cut and getting benched to a point of thinking, will this guy even be on the roster? Some people thought he was a scrub. He was a backup only. He has put that narrative so far behind. Now, Deommodore Lenoir, to me, well, yes, will be the 12th highest paid cornerback in regards to average money per year over the course of his contract, but also it's a testament to a story you can get behind. A young player, a late round pick that has to battle through benchings and almost being cut and injuries to fight his way, to put in the work with 3 different defensive coordinators to earn his keep in the NFL. That is a story every single fan and every single young late-round pick should get behind and say, I want to be like Deommodore Lenoir. He plays football the way that it should be played. He's cocky, he's loud, he's arrogant, but he can back it up because he believes in himself so much, and he's earned the right to say and do all those things. Another thing here, the San Francisco 49ers, for maybe their lack of hits in the first round of the NFL draft or even second round, obviously Deebo Samuel being one, Aaron Banks being another, and of course Nick Bosa and company, but them in the 5th, in the 6th, in the 7th rounds have been money. Obviously Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, but in the 5th round alone, since John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan took over, here is their draft picks. George Kittle, All-Pro, greatest tight end in San Francisco 49ers history. You can make an argument he'll be a Hall of Famer one day. Trent Taylor, he's a fine depth piece wide receiver, but still in the league, actually still on San Francisco after resigning this offseason. DJ Reed was in San Francisco, didn't really have a spot for him, went to Seattle, played really well, now getting big money with the Jets. Obviously a great pick. Then there's Dre Greenlaw, one of the best linebackers in the entire league. When he's healthy and he's on, he is a top linebacker in football, a gem, a steal, instant starter for San Francisco for them in 2019. And getting him back will go a long way in getting San Francisco back into the legit contender category in the NFL. Then you have players like Colton McKivitz, who I know many fans give him grief, and sometimes deservedly so, but a 5th round pick in 2020, I believe. It's not like the 5th round is where you hit, right? It's where you find pieces that you hope can round out the roster. Maybe here or so you hit, but in counting here, Kittle's a hit. Reed is a hit for other teams, mind you, but Greenlaw was a hit. And Colton McKivitz is going on year 2 being your starting right tackle, which, think what you want of that. He ain't the worst right tackle in football. Now, he ain't the best, maybe not even top 20, but he's still starting caliber tackle play in the NFL. That's a 5th round pick. Jalen Moore still on this team playing backup swing tackle for them, backing up Trent Williams, which again, you don't love if he starts for you every single day, but if he's behind a Hall of Famer, you don't mind it. Then you get into Deommodore Lenoir, brand new contract, probably going to be an all-pro cornerback this season. Then later it's Talanoa Hufanga, who already was an all-pro, and when he's healthy, when he's right, can still be a damn good safety for your roster and for your team. Then there's Samuel Womack, who I know doesn't play for San Francisco anymore, got cut during the training camp and preseason periods, but he's balling out with the Colts this year. Then you have 2 guys who were young, still trying to find their footing in Darrell Luter Jr., who didn't have an offseason last year, or a training camp, or preseason. He's in year number 2, playing special teams, which sometimes doesn't bode well for him or the team. Look at the Super Bowl and against the Buccaneers last week, but he's a young player you have hopes for eventually can turn into something. And Robert Beal Jr. has been I won't say a key or pivotal, but he's been a rotational piece for this edge rushing group. That's a lot of hits. That's a lot of people you point to and say, wow, that is a 5th round. That is incredible. Hall of Famers, All Pros, Pro Bowlers, starters, and even key bench pieces all the way through the 5th round for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch when they draft in that round, to a point of we joke saying, hey, don't trade for first-round picks. You can get rid of third-round picks and second-round picks and first-round picks. Hey, make sure you stack up in the 5th round. It's because picks like George Kittle, like Dre Greenlaw, and now a player you should put in that same company, Deommodore Lenoir. He deserves it. He belongs in the same vein and breath of a Dre Greenlaw, of George Kittle, as the next great 5th-round hit in the Niners and under the Niners regime with Shanahan and company. But I want to get to where he is now, this year. Lenoir has obviously gotten better each and every season the past 3 years, put in the work. But I want to tell you where he is today. 2024, November 13th, going into week number 11 against the Seattle Seahawks in an NFC West divisional game where, if San Francisco gets lucky and the Cardinals lose, they will have the first place spot in the NFC West. A large reason for that is the play of Deommodore Lenoir in the defense, playing underrated all year long. And looking at the stats, Deommodore Lenoir's passer rating when targeted this year, 35.7. That is incredible. It is locked down, and we talked about earlier the versatility to play inside and outside. That's why, a small reason, but a reason why he got a little bit more money than Mooney Ward did a couple years back when he signed his massive contract. When playing the slot, and maybe the hope is next year for San Francisco, it's Renardo Green playing the outside, Lenoir playing the slot, and somebody else playing the opposite outside cornerback spot. But Lenoir can do both. And if you're, say it's a Cooper Kupp or a Jackson Smith-Njigba, the opposing team's best wide receiver is lined up in that slot, I guarantee you Deommodore Lenoir is going to shadow and target him and cover him the entire game. Because when playing the slot this year, a 29.6 passer rating when targeted. That is lockdown, shut down, let nobody catch a football type of play. That's what you look for when you want to pay someone 5 years, $92 million. That is top 10 cornerback play. That's top 5 cornerback play. That is Deommodore Lenoir. And when you talk about clutch, when you talk about when the moments get bright, what has Deommodore Lenoir done in the playoffs? Well, he picked off Dak Prescott, I believe, one time back a couple years ago at Levi Stadium, but also in the Super Bowl last year, forced Isaiah Pacheco to fumble at the goal line and took away a touchdown from the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and when targeted in the playoffs. A 48.5 passer rating allowed. Folks, you are witnessing greatness when you watch Deommodore Lenoir play. This is why they paid him this money. This is why Lenoir has earned and deserves this money and should be in conversations for all pros and Pro Bowl consideration in 2024. And one final grouping of stats for you this year. When Deommodore Lenoir plays in single coverage, he's been targeted 21 times, only allowed 8 receptions. That's just over 1/3 of the time he's allowing a catch. That's great. That's a 38.1 completion rate allowed with 0 touchdowns allowed, 1 interception, 2 forced incompletions, and a 38.4 passer rating allowed per Pro Football Focus. Again, folks, you don't get much better this year than Deommodore Lenoir. To a point where Keyshawn Nixon for the Packers is posting on Twitter saying, hey, well-deserved, brother, because the league respects the hell out of Deommodore Lenoir, which brings me to the future of the Niners cornerback room. The odds are with this brand new deal for Deommodore Lenoir that Travarius Mooney-Ward is not going to return to San Francisco next year. That was already kind of the conversation during the offseason. What would they do? We talked about maybe they'd trade him during the trade deadline if they lost against the Cowboys or things looked bleak and maybe they wanted to move some money around to save some cash. The odds are Ward is going to be gone. You now have a top 10 cornerback in Lenoir on a long-term deal, locked up, ready to go, to keep that window open. And thankfully, this 2024 draft class has been a hit. Obviously, Malik Mustafa has been phenomenal playing safety for you. I said, go back to the draft or the post-draft podcast. I said he could be this team's best safety by year's end. And I think he's this team's best safety right now through week 10 thus far of the NFL season. But it doesn't stop there. Second-round pick Renardo Green has been the number 2 graded cornerback in the NFL amongst rookies, only behind Kentucky product with the Giants' Andrew Phillips. The Niners have themselves youthful, lockdown cornerbacks that can play both outside spots, and even Green and Lenoir can both play nickel. The Niners have versatility and now the ability to match up and line up against every other team's best wide receiver. That's why you lock up a player like Deommodore Lenoir. That's why we should champion this move by the San Francisco 49ers, and this is why it seems to be they are going to be able to keep that Super Bowl window opened once they pay Brock Purdy, which a deal like this to me means, okay, if you're comfortable using this money right now, comfortable paying out $92 million to a player like Lenoir now, that to me means that Brock Purdy contract is either really close to happening or the only thing left is the minute details. That deal is probably almost done on paper, and it feels like this move signifies, hey, we got to pay Brock first. That thing may be done. Things are ironed out, but this move here, let's get this one done because we know Purdy's contract is also done as well, or at least nearing the final details being narrowed down. I love this move. I love when young players fight and earn for their keep and they grab the brass ring. Credit goes to D'Amico Ryans and Steve Wilkes and also Nick Sorensen and, of course, Deommodore Lenoir. You earned this, you deserve this, and good on San Francisco for re-signing one of, if not their best defensive player outside of Fred Warner and Nick Bosa this year. These are moves we should all get behind and champion. I love this move. Congrats to Deommodore Lenoir on getting this new deal. This is a great move for San Francisco. It keeps that defense alive and youthful, and with aging players like Fred Warner creeping up to his late 20s, early 30s, same goes for Nick Bosa. You want to have the young players behind them ready to go and pick up the mantle once those guys get older. And of course, once you get Greenlaw back, the San Francisco 49ers are going absolutely nowhere in a year that was called the last dance, even if they don't win it all this year. They are gearing up for another run, and they're not going to look back in the next couple seasons. Do not bank on San Francisco tanking or going anywhere in the NFC. Moves like this continue to prove John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are dedicated to winning a Super Bowl every single year. Tell me down below what you think of Lenoir's new contract. Do you like it? For some reason, do you dislike it? What do you think? What was your takeaway of the move? What do you think a move like this means for Brock Purdy or a player like Travarius Ward? Tell me down below in the comments on YouTube. And if you kindly could, leave a 5-star review on the audio podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen. Give us 5 stars. It is the freest, cheapest, and easiest way to help the show out while we try to grow. If you also could follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And if you want to watch the newly minted, newly signed and extended Deommodore Lenoir play this year or in the next few years for the San Francisco 49ers, go to SeatGeek.com. Find your tickets. Green means good. Red means bad. Find your tickets. Get the deal you want and put in promo code 49ers Access. 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And while we await news for the Niners in Seattle game this Sunday, whether it's injury reports, who plays, who doesn't play, hell, maybe Brock Purdy gets extended tomorrow. No one knows what'll happen. Heck, if you're Kyle Shanahan, we may not even be alive tomorrow come Saturday. But if you could, go to sportsspyder.com or click that link down below in the description where it puts together the latest articles, podcasts, YouTube videos, tweets, anything regarding your favorite team. MLB, NBA, NFL, does not matter. It's your one-stop shop for everything about your favorite team. News, articles, podcasts in one place just for you. Stay tuned. Tomorrow night, we preview Niners, Seahawks, round 2 this year. Can the San Francisco 49ers sweep the Seattle Seahawks again this year? I think that's, 3 or 4 years in a row? Can that be on the docket? And will San Francisco continue to climb up the NFC playoff picture? Stay tuned for that preview tomorrow night. And until then, my name is Sterling Bennett. And as always, stay faithful.